What's good, everybody? It's the Clown with Cap Show. UFC 289 was awesome. Shout out to the GOAT, the Lioness, Amanda Nunes. She announced that she's retiring from the UFC, which I think is great. I mean, her reign in the UFC is amazing. She's been champion for years, about a decade. I mean, she's been dominating, dude, and I'm not really surprised about it. Am I kind of heartbroken about her retirement? Yes. I thought for sure she could dominate another 5 years, but you got to realize, being a UFC fighter, dude, all those shots to the legs, to the face, it starts to add up over time. So I don't fault Amanda Nunes what she did in the UFC. She's the GOAT. She's the greatest woman combat sports that the UFC/MMA has ever seen, dude. She's the greatest mixed martial artist in the women's division ever, dude. I mean, amazing. 23-5. I mean, she went through them all. Beat Ronda Rousey. I mean, when she beat Cyborg, I was like, holy cow, Amanda Nunes is legit. She is she has that it factor. I mean, Cyborg hits like a dude, and Cyborg was knocking people out left and right. She was just dogging people, making people look like they're nothing. And then all of a sudden, Amanda Nunes gets in there with Cyborg. They're throwing, and all of a sudden, Cyborg gets knocked the F out, with the overhand right. So, we're just watching Amanda Nunes throughout her career. It's been amazing. It's been everything that you expect and even more. I mean, she's been dominant in this fight against Irina. It was amazing, and it was full display. She had 196 total strikes, 142 significant strikes for Amanda Nunes. Compared to Irina, she only had 57 total strikes. So there was definitely a levels to this, even though she won by decision, and after the fight, it was amazing. I mean, what Dana White, I do think, Dana White should give, her leverage and say, hey, whatever you want to do, Amanda, if you want to commentate, if you want to do something in the UFC, hey, be my guest. You're the best. I mean, two-time division champion. I mean, held it for years. I mean, when I first seen her fight, it was the Ronda Rousey fight, and I thought, I don't know, something about this was different, and I do believe Ronda Rousey was favorite in that fight, going in. Definitely, Amanda Nunes was the underdog against Cyborg, which is crazy. She was like plus 200, something crazy like that, maybe even plus 220 on against Cyborg, where Cyborg was just running through him, like I said, and then boom, Amanda just right there at the right time. But, just whatever Amanda Nunes wants to do, she can take you down. She beats you in so many different ways. But in this right here, it's amazing. It's nothing, she's the GOAT, dude. Amazing. In this fight, she had 6 takedowns out of 13. It's amazing. And I just think for Dana White, what he has here, Amanda Nunes, will always be remembered in history. She's like the GSP, but except for women, dude, like the John Jones, like the GOAT, the best ever. So I think hats off to Amanda Nunes. What's next for her is, I do think she'll do something in the UFC, whether that's commentating or coaching, who knows, or even becoming a trainer, or who knows, she could go totally, to the different way where nobody expected Amanda Nunes to do that. But I love Amanda Nunes because she's so humble in victory and also defeat, but she's a humble champion, probably the most humblest champion we've ever seen in the UFC, whereas a lot of people that become champions, they get this type of ego, and they get this type of way where they're like, I'm better than everybody, this, that, and the other. But, Amanda Nunes was never like that. She was a humble champion. She listened to everybody, no matter who it was, and that's what I loved about Amanda, dude, and she put it all on the line every single fight. Even against Valentina, she ran through her, even though those were very close fights. But I just think at the end of the day, Amanda Nunes is the GOAT. She's the GOAT, dude, of the women's division by far. And like I said before, if there was a weak man that became a transgender, transformed into a woman and tried to fight Amanda Nunes, I would still put my money on Amanda Nunes. I really would. I think she could run through, a born man that transitioned to a woman. I think Amanda Nunes has a shot against them. I really do. Obviously, not everybody that does that. Not every born male that goes in to become a female. I don't think, she'd win every single time, but I do think a majority of the time Amanda Nunes would win. She's got that it factor, dude. That's why they call her the Lioness, dude. She has that it factor. So shout out to Amanda Nunes, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. And then we had Charles Oliveira, which I cannot believe I bet against Charles Oliveira. I thought for sure he would get knocked out. It's just the guy, I just thought he was more hungry. And I thought Charles Oliveira coming off that loss against Islam in that championship fight, I thought for sure, Oliveira wouldn't be all that together, right? Not 100% in train, but, in this fight, round 1 TKO. And it was late in the first round. And really, it all started with Charles Oliveira throwing that right leg kick to the head, and that's really what slowed him down. But it just, there's levels to this game, and Charles Oliveira was clearly on another level. And that's why I'm thinking, how in the heck is Charles Oliveira plus 120 coming into this fight underdog? That's crazy. I just thought the guy was just a little bit more hungry. I thought Benzo was just, I thought he was more hungry. I really did, but obviously Benny came up way short. Benny did not look like he wanted to be in there. It looked like the lights got to him. In Canada, it looked like all the pressure was mounting on Benny, to whereas Charles Oliveira capitalized on it. And I think for Charles Oliveira, that's a huge win at the point of his career right now, where it's like, is he going to get the rematch against Islam? Is he going to fight Justin Gaethje, the winner of Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier over the summer? He's going to get the winner of that. There's a lot of options for Charles Oliveira, and I think this is a huge win for him. Like I said, coming off the loss against Islam, I do think, that would make sense as well. If I'm Dana White, I'm saying, hey, look, I think, a rematch against Islam does make sense in a way. Really wasn't a one lopsided fight here. Give him another shot. I mean, Charles Oliveira deserves it, dude. I mean, he's been in the UFC for years now, dude. He's a veteran. He knows what it takes. And like I said, when I first seen him fight, it was against Max Holloway. In that fight, he got hurt. Like, within the first minute, it looked like a broken collarbone. But a lot of people were calling him quitter ever since then. And I was like, dude, never give up on this guy. And Charles Oliveira came back, rose from adversity, and all of a sudden now he could get another shot at a title, another shot at the belt. So hats off to Charles Oliveira. Well done here. It's amazing. What's next for him? I do think either Islam or the winner, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje. Why not? Both of them lost to Charles Oliveira, and I think that run those fights back. And I think for the UFC and Dana White, they know that, and I think that's what they're going to do. And then they got the Golden Boy, Conor McGregor, fighting Michael Chandler at the end of the year. That's going to be interesting as well. Who knows? Maybe Charles Oliveira fights the winner of that fight. There's a lot of options for Oliveira, but I just think the best UFC fighters today are the ones that are really active, the ones that fight 3 or 4 times a year. Whereas we see some of these guys come in once a year, once or twice a year, and that's just not enough for me. I think if I'm a UFC fighter personally, I'm saying, hey, I want to fight 3+ times a year. Like, I don't want to take a long break and 9-month layoff. I just think that really ruins the timing, the flow, and just the pace of the fight, of just getting better overall. So I think for a UFC fighter to want to fight 3 or 4 times a year, like Charles Oliveira, that makes sense to me. That means, like, you want to fight, you want to be ready. We go guys like young cats like Chimaev. I mean, when was the last time he fought against Gilbert Burns? Last year? Like, dude, I want to see activity. That's what I want to do. In the UFC, I want to see people that are active, that are always fighting. Like, for example, like Sugar Sean, he fought recently, I want to say a couple months ago. Now he's fighting for the belt, I believe in a couple months from now. We need activity, especially from the young guns. Now, I wouldn't say the GOAT, John Jones, needs all the activity in the world. He's the heavyweight champion of the world. I do want to see Francis Ngannou come back and fight John Jones at some point. That's what the fans want to see. That's what the hardcore MMA fans want to see, right? We want to see John Jones the GOAT fight against, crazy man Francis Ngannou. But Francis went his different way, which that's his own opinion. That's his own choice. I'm not hating on Francis Ngannou. He had bad negotiations with the UFC and Dana White. Who knows? I don't know what really went down. I don't know why they just did not come to fruition where it's like, hey, let's agree to disagree here. Let's come to a deal. But they didn't. And now John Jones is the heavyweight champion of the world. It might go in the UFC of all time. But, UFC 89 was electronic, man. It was great. In Canada, I just think, the pinnacle is definitely in Vegas, and that's where these big fights are going to happen. I think International Fight Week in July is going to happen in Las Vegas. And I can bet you guys that, the McGregor-Michael Chandler fight will probably be in Las Vegas as well. I just think Las Vegas and Dana White and the UFC, they do great business there. They sell tickets, and they just make a lot of millions of dollars, okay, in one night, which is insane. So I love what the UFC's doing, but, shout out to Charles Oliveira, but, shout out to the GOAT. Like I said, Amanda Nunes, the greatest that we've ever seen, the greatest female fighter in MMA history that we've ever seen. No one's dominated like Amanda Nunes. No one's hit harder than Amanda Nunes, okay? We thought Cyborg hit hard. What's Amanda Nunes Nunes hit Cyborg, she dropped like a bag of ice, dude. Dropped like some sardines where it's just like, holy cow. Amanda Nunes has that low-key power. It doesn't look like she has a lot of power, right? But it does. But watching Amanda Nunes last night, I realized it makes sense why she retired. And hats off to her. A double champ. She's off into the sunset, a millionaire in America. I love that. Great story. Shout out to Amanda Nunes. And I can kind of tell that Amanda Nunes isn't the same that when she fought Cyborg back in 2018 or 17 time. These injuries start to catch up. It really does. And that's why I think, all eyes are on Conor McGregor right now where, we remember where he snapped his leg against Dustin Poirier in 2021, and it was just one of them freak accidents where it's like, oh my gosh, we don't want that to happen to any athlete. We remember Anderson Silva, it happened to him one time in a fight, snapped his leg. He recovered from it. I do think we will see a hungry McGregor back, but the thing is he really hungry? When I look at Conor McGregor, the biggest star in the UFC still right now, still box office, still pulling in more tickets than the GOAT John Jones, Amanda Nunes. That's what McGregor does. He's a great salesman. He's a great businessman for the UFC. And obviously Dana White's going to keep McGregor as long as he can on this right now, on this journey, because, obviously, Conor McGregor's the cash cow. He's the cash cow bringing in millions of dollars to the UFC. And obviously Dana White's paying McGregor nice, dude, living that lavish life. First fighter with a Lamborghini yacht or something crazy. Nobody ever thought that would happen. Even John Jones even said, dude, I never thought, McGregor would have a Lamborghini yacht. It's crazy. Anything is possible in America. So shout out to McGregor, man. I hope he bounces back. But the GOAT, Amanda Nunes, deserves everything she has in the UFC and everything she will have after the UFC. I do think she'll get into some type of commentating or some type of coaching in the UFC, but she's the GOAT, the greatest women fighter of all time in MMA history. Shout out to the GOAT, Amanda Nunes, and shout out to Charles Oliveira getting the job done. I can't wait for UFC 290 International Fight Week in Las Vegas, baby. I cannot wait. It's the Clown with Cam show. Let's go!